I really like the topics, but I really, really wish that he would edit out the drinking noises. It is so unprofessional. This is the fucking Abracast, dude, and I am proud to announce that it's getting a little bit bigger. That's right. Starting March 3rd, we are launching a limited series called The American Sermon. It's the occult foundation of the United States, where we are going to be looking at some of this weird, offbeat, and sinister bullshit tied to the creation of the United States. I am so excited for this. I've been working on it for like a month and a half so far. Officially starting March 3rd, there's probably going to be a cool early episode just so I can get the RSS feed and stuff lined up and straightened out. So, you can keep your eye out for it on the abracast.com. As always, Spreaker. It'll be on Spreaker, and then we will officially roll it out as fast as we can after that. But yeah, keep your eye out for it. In the dark shadows and in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast, we are the brave and bold. The question has often been put as to whether in the astrological idea of creation, air or fire ought to be regarded as the highest element. The answer depends on the standpoint we take. In the highest cosmological or cosmo-philosophical sense, it is fire. In the cosmo-practical or cosmo-natural sense, it is air, as the secret doctrine undoubtedly makes us understand. Where the dissolution of the cosmos at the end of a Man Vantera is treated of, and it is said that the earth is dissolved or engulfed by the waters, water evaporated by fire, and finally fire disappearing in air. Here, air is acting as the atmosphere of the globe or system disappearing. So for all practical use in astrology as well, it is air which is able to give the highest expression in the divine. As the atmosphere of a globe, it is the link between it and the ether of space, carrying the rays of divine solar center, as well as those of the relatively demoniacal surroundings to the other elements constituting the existence of the globe. In a similar way, the suit of wands will appear to be something of a link between the lesser and the greater arcana. This we will deal with later. Taken in this way, air is the bearer of the message from the divine or the unmanifested to the terrestrial or manifested worlds. The wands are the significators of the message in detail and of intelligence, which astrologically correspond to air. Consequently, of higher thought and mental process. The magic wand is used to convey the divine, or at least semi-divine, willpower of the self-acting as a magician into the world of phenomenon. As in microcosm, the message goes out to the water, which is the emotional element of experience in the soul. The metals, which are sensatory elements of understanding in the body. And so in microcosm on Earth, a wand may be used to find out water and metal in the soil. This may seem curious, but is pure analogy. From days of old, a wand or staff was used to chastise, i.e., to render chaste or pure the undisciplined or disobedient. a penalty as such symbolically as corporeal, the staff being at the same time the insignium of a superior willpower or supervision. Not supervision. Not like X-ray vision, but supervision. You know, like you have a supervisor. Back to it, sorry. Hermes or Mercury, the lord of the element of air, of knowledge and understanding, bearer of the message of the gods, carried as his emblem his well-known wand, encompassed by two snakes, and bearing a cup on top. He was called Trismegistus, the threefold great, or the great trefoil, which might also be translated as the Lord or Magister of the Register trefoil, the King of Wands, and the pilgrim who went to hear the word of deliverance and to gather knowledge took up a staff, not only as a walking stick, but as a symbol of his quest. And later finds illustration in the legend of Tannhauser, whose sin, ignorance, was so great that its expiation could be expected as little as the budding of a new leaf on his dead pilgrim's staff. The later being evidently taken as an image of the principle of the wand in his own soul. And now, by the force of love and higher understanding, budded forth in himself, in fact, was symbolized by the apparition of a fresh green leaf on the tip of his staff. Hey. This is from the General Book of the Tarot by A.E. Thierens. A.E. Thierens, 1930.
The Abercast, occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
All right, welcome everybody. This is John Towers. I'm John Towers, and this is the Abercast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will be your King of Wands this evening. Now, we got a lot of shit to get through, so I'm just going to get rolling. So now is the time. If you have the time, I have the gin jihad. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So now is the time for you to get your glass. Hopefully by now you have the formula memorized. You can whip it up. Whip up your gin jihad and let's go. Your formula for mass distraction. All right, so before I get rolling into this material, there's a side note here. I really enjoy the book we're going to be reading from tonight, this the General Book of the Tarot by A.E. Thierens. But it has a lot of problems, in my opinion. However, it also has a lot of great info in it. It is not as common as Waite's Pictorial Key, so I thought I would shift gears from the Tarot of the Bohemians into this book. If you're a tarot card person and you like, if you really like this book, please forgive the editing hack job I did on it for this episode. Without getting too much into it, in my opinion, Thierens misidentifies the modern suit correlation, like I talked about in other tarot card episodes. You know, the wands, clubs, cups, hearts, swords, spades, pentacles, diamonds. This author has another view on that, and it shifts the order of these colors or suits and puts them in a different order from the order that we've been talking about from the Bohemian book. Also, a cool thing about this book is the author talks a lot about the astrological correlations with the tarot cards, which we mentioned in the last episode as well. However, he jumps through some hoops in order with the order of the deck to make them fit this astrology angle a little. So I straightened this out too, as it is interesting, but I wanted to keep it as close to the system in the Bohemian book as possible, since that's the book we used to start into this whole thing. And again, like I said, the pictorial, Waite's pictorial key is pervasive. Like you could find it you could find it at Target, I guess, if you were looking around. So I thought, like I said, shift books to this general book of the tarot, 1930, A.E. Thierens. So we already kind of talked about in the cold open, we talked about the generality of the wand's suit. He's correlating it with the air, and I guess we'll see some of that as we look into the card. So I have my wands here. I have them all. I'm not missing any of my wand cards. Okay. So, I'm not going to be overly describing these images as we go through. I might say like a little something about each one, but like, get your own deck out, or, just pull up your Google or whatever and go through it with me if you want. So we're going to start here with the King of Wands. Now, also, I'm going to go ahead and say that if you're familiar with the pictorial key, they're not mutually exclusive. Like they're not. They don't come to the same conclusion at all on any of these things. So if you're a tarot card person, and I'm talking about this King of Wands, and the Waite deck says. The Waite book says the physical and emotional nature to which this card is attributed is a dark, ardent, lithe, animated, impassionate, noble. The king uplifts a flowering wand and wears, like his three correspondences in the remaining suits, what is called a cap of maintenance beneath his crown. He connects with the symbol of the lion, and it's emblazoned on the back of his throne. There's divinatory meaning here. Dark man, friendly, countryman, generally married, honest, and conscientious. The card always signifies honesty and may mean news concerning an unexpected heritage to fall in before very long. Reversed, it's good but severe, austere, yet tolerant. So just to give you a flavor of how these are going to be differing from maybe some books that you got that might be familiar already to tarot card folks. Okay, so now we're in the general book of the tarot. King of Wands, tradition, country gentleman. Like, okay, so Waite's book said countryman, like a comrade. But this is taking it a little bit on a different side. They're saying he's a countryman by tradition, a man with good intentions and yet severe, honest, and conscientious. Maybe a peasant or agriculturalist. Atelier calls him the father marriage union. So you can see some correspondences there. I'm not saying there's not correspondences. I'm just saying it's not a carbon copy of itself. Okay, so the theory, higher octave to the ace, the lord of the suit of air, and the mind coming on the first house. What may have led to the legend of calling him a countryman and bringing the whole suit of wands more or less in relation with the country is not clear. He is the lord of the intellectual kingdom. Consequently, he may denote every authority or personality of prime importance in some or other intellectual, mercurial, or mercenary line. It must be some one representing a high authority, himself, or uniting opposites interests while he himself on account of the same authority he represents may not or cannot be contradicted. Now we want to put a remark in here concerning the court or personal cards in general. In the practice of divination, they are generally taken to indicate persons, and this comes out very often right enough. Still, they ought to first be considered as principles. The personification of these principles in men and women comes in the second place, but is important, of course, in our daily lives. So this King of Wands must represent intellectual authority, mastership in the domain of the mind, trade, and language. The conclusion is a governor, a director of business, a high official, a postmaster, a solicitor, independent trader, secretary of state, and the principles of function for which they stand. This house of Mars imparts austerity, security, and generally innovative and honesty. In weak cases, there may be, however, some doubt with regards to his absolute integrity, and he may be the authority who concludes a union. Note clergymen or civil authorities in the church. He is a high priest. In the lodge, the grand master. All right, the Queen of Wands. I like her because she's got a little black cat sitting at her feet. It looks like Edgar. It looks like my cat, Edgar. A smaller, tinier, sweeter version. Queen of Wands, tradition, countrywoman, honest, economical woman, honorable and loving, virtuous, chaste, good, and inclined to be friendly and interest herself in the current. I don't know what that is. The card may also indicate love of money, economy, and gifts. The Queen of Air on the second house of economy, money, country life, and art. Some of the traditional renderings certify this remarkably well. Now, what does a queen in general mean? The divination of a woman simply, but in general, as the king is the head of the hierarchy or the suit as the spiritual synthesis and the masculine representative, so the queen may be said to be a material synthesis and the chief female representative. So the Queen of Wands must be apart from all personality, the representative of banking, exchange, agriculture, and of the arts in general, painting, music, and dance. Dance! Motherfucker, dance! In the picture of this card, a cat is seen before the feet of this queen, a remarkable indication of the house in which, as astrology teaches, the moon is exalted. It indicates rightly that in weak cases there may be some falsehood in the nature of persons indicated it. Cajolery, but apt to turn into peevishness. Taurus people are generally good-humored and good-natured, patient, benefic to their surroundings and material things, but also desirous of luxury and possessions, wealth, and riches. There's a woman of economical habits, wealth, desiring wealth. She's resolved to get at riches, certainly not cheap, more or less artistic. She may be a painter, a dancer, or a musician. She is faithful, but may be subject to moods and changes of taste. Honesty may be certified, but not without a certain amount of egotism or materialism. She's very passive and cool. Okay. Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. Tradition. He's a young man, friendly, departure, absent, flight, change of residence, desertion, transmigration, transplantation, transmutation, separation, disunion, rupture, discountenance, or discord. I felt like I was doing the Alphabet Olympics there for a second. The working of air by a special and mighty agent. This for the night is in all cases the house on the houses of water. Here in the 4th and the 12th cause turbulence, motion and emotion. The action of the air on the water causes waves. In this case, the 4th house, the night relates to family matters or household conditions. Eventually, the father to the internal conditions in society or groups of people. It must further relate to the memories of the past in general because it means the awakening of the sentiments. The tradition conclusions have been drawn evidently in the negative or the greater part in consideration of the fact that the sentiments generally are misleading. That is, they give reason for many changes is quite true. In the case of the 12th house, this is much the same, but extending it result over a much larger circle. The mercurial night may represent an expedition or exploration, discovery, scientific or practical, estrangement, the great work of transmigration. It denotes searching for the unknown, which in weak personal cases may appear as indiscretion or premature revelation. We do not see why this night should be either young or friendly. Quite the reverse. On the account of the 12th house, there is something in Michael about him. A certain dissension and sedimentary may find its cause in the past, in a family feud. All right, Richard Dawson. Or something in the nature of a misguided prejudice to tradition, which will have to be given up. The Page of Wands. Tradition, stranger, an unknown man, a young man in search of somebody extraordinary or at least uncommon. Man, postman, envoy, dark young man, the faithful lover. Further, it denotes announcement, instruction, advice, tale, lesson, advertisement, or something wonderful, unexpected, admirable, unusual, a notion as well as a miracle. Theory. We all have to keep in mind that the page of air relates to the 3rd and to the 11th house both. Some of the indications show the mark of Aquarian, i.e. the Uranian parentage. Others are purely mercurial. The page always cover the meaning of the house of air. As we have seen, the pledge of the airy element, wands, is the most airy of them all. Indeed. The interpretation is easy enough, as the renderings are quite correct. With the exception of one item, we can never see the page as a stranger, but rather as an acquaintance, the friend conforming to the connection with the 11th house. That with the 3rd house even may bring his personal standing nearer to the querent. He's a brother or a schoolmate. Ace. Ace of Wands. Birth, source, principle, beginning, origin, cause, reason, creation, invention. Some say also family, but this is probably to be taken as family descent or parentage or origin of the family, which is a different idea. Reversed, fall, perdition, decadence, decline, ruin, etc. The element of air on the 1st house or ascendant has, of course, to do with birth and the beginning, because it is the coming through of the message from above the regions of the physical plane. The ascendant, indeed, is the synthesized appearance of the heavens at the beginning of whatever it may be. And also, so this card signifies, on one hand, the inflow of light from above into the world of matter and fact, which can have several meanings. On the other hand, seen from the side of light itself, it is the fall in matter and the decline of the higher, as well as the enlightened of the lower. The card has the airy element, have always and in every instance a double meaning, not only in the sense of right and reversed, but meaning on two sides. And apparently this has been wrongly introduced as right or reversed. In some cases, so the Ace of Wands will represent the effect of suddenness in the incidental, even accidental, shown some appearances of the planet Uranus. It denotes something that is making its appearance all of the sudden, and sort of manifestation, creation such as the birth of a child. All right, so what he's talking about here is he's saying he mentions this in the book, not necessarily right in here, but since he's talking about it, he says that cards could be read one of two ways, right or reversed. Right is when the card is right side up, if you're looking at it, and reversed is if it comes out of the deck upside down. Now, he goes through a lot to say that it seems arbitrary to him, the right and reverse, because when you organize your cards and you shuffle them, they're all the same way. So he's saying, like, it's like a law of averages thing, right? Like if 99.9% of your cards fall down the right way, how isn't that within the margin of error? Unless you go out of your way to make sure half of your cards are flipped upside down. That's the only way that I can think that to fix this. Where am I at here? Generally considered to be joy, the parents, but it may not be for the soul, which has to accept one more limitation of life in the body of earth, but is the two-sidedness of this significance. I mean, if you think about it, he's got a point. Like, you have them all face the right way. So why, I don't know. Do I have any statisticians out there that want to weigh in on this? All right, the Two of Wands. This is that guy holding a globe, if you remember last tarot card episode. Melancholy, sadness, surprise, astonishment, consternation, terror, fear, enchantment, trouble, but also, on the other hand, riches, fortune, and magnificence. Air on the second house, that of Taurus, which explains at once the later significance ascribed to the card by some authors. The other category of definitions derives from the earthly nature of the second house, which put into the tone of the airy element. May cause something of oppression. Oppression, I'm being oppressed. Which the heavenliness of the fixed and earthly house exercises on the mind. It is the impression of heaviness, of the load on the back, which easily may attain to the more concise form of fear and gloom, a feeling of being downcast, impotent. That's why he's only got 2 wands, bros. Impotent. Weak and not able to resist circumstance. So it may signify the pressure of the material conditions, the responsibility imparted by riches, but also projects or conceptions of an economical nature, and the idea of capital and capitalizing. Further, the combination of principles of air with the house of Taurus must give music. And we may be sure that this card always has some significance in that way. and the sphere of the art intellectually and generally. This is a very important significance. All right. 3. This is the guy with the 2 capes. He's got the Boba Fett cape. Remember I was telling you about it? This guy's got, like James T. Kirk, he's got Enterprise, Effort, Trade, Commerce, Discovery, Usurpation, Darling, Temerity, and also Imprudence, Interruption, Cessation, and the End of Troubles, rather than contradictory descriptions of this card's significance, are well explained by its zodiacal position. Air on the 3rd house, which doubles the influence of air and of the mercurial vibrations and effects. This card has the ascent of the suit of wands. It must consequently denote communication, reflection, that all comes from these. This needs little explanation. I want to officially announce this. We have a limited series coming up called Abracast, the American Sermon. It's a look at the occult foundation of the United States. We're going to be looking at all of the weird, sort of offbeat and sinister stuff tied into the creation of the United States. And we're pretty excited about this. It's officially starting March 3rd. There will probably be at least one early episode if you want to keep your eye, if you want to get a sneak peek of it, just so I can get the RSS feed and stuff straightened out. So, you can look for it at abracast.com. You can definitely look for it at Spreaker, and then we'll roll it out on other platforms just as fast as we can. Thank you guys. I'm really excited about this. I hope you will join me. The 4 of Wands. This is the one with the 4 sticks holding up the salad in the sky behind the castle. Remember I told you? Society, association, alliance, multitude, and all that implies a gathering of men. Even armies. Mixture, country life, felicity, augmentation, prosperity, happiness, peace, and concord. It is air on the 4th house, and the mixing of mercurial and lunar influences will, of course, explain the idea of gathering. It's a party! Yeah! Hey! We cannot quite see some of the definitions, but generally we will find the idea of that which binds together by memory of common motives, thoughts, mottos common to a certain group of people. Winter is coming. If it family or nation, clan or army. So this leads us to see the card as an expression of the common motive. This is pretty interesting. I never got into it this way with this. Of that which binds people together. It is not the contract, but the motive which afterwards leads to the contract, for some of which the contract will result. The common mistake in astrological descriptions as well is this mixing up of definitions relating to the cause and to the effect respectively. Mercury brooding over the house of the family and of the moon engenders homely feelings. Memories, thoughts of eternal service, household matters, and tends more or less to profane and familiar or descriptive language, to joke, fun at the theatrical art, to inviting people to come together right now. over me and have their share in weal and woe. It represents also common sense, which, however, remains in many cases common enough. It contains the motives which actually govern the facts and actions in this world. Wow, this is really cool. You wouldn't think this card would be so fucking cool, man, but it is. I'm going to put a star next to this. Very good, sir. See, I'm learning something. All right, I'm wondering about this one. Let's get into this one. The Five of Wands. This is the 5 kids beating the shit out of each other with these sticks. Gold, riches, opulence, magnificence, brilliancy, luxury, the struggle for riches, physical, philosophical, and moral, but also process, trickery, contradiction, discussion, and chicane. I think chicane is the singular for chicanery. This means some kind of wizard-like trick. Air in the 5th house, air on the 5th house, that of the sun, the house and the heart of the children, of speculation and of love affairs, of pride and of willpower. There is more of the richness of these, of the heart, in it than the material abundance, although generally Leo people know how to reach the latter. In a house of fire, the combination of fire and air makes warm air, which may be used to heat rooms. In the same way as words that contain warm feelings of the heart will do good to other people. And on the other hand, hot speech will arouse lively contradiction. Here is the same mistake. The card is not that of contradiction, but of hot speech. Very positive expression and contentions. It's suggestions rather than discussion. It's egocentric thought, which is why they're all beating the shit out of each other. Form which we may conclude that it will evoke contradiction of some other effect, but we may have to do with the proper meaning of the card itself. It is quite true that the house, Leo, may bring gold as presents. Oh, the house, Leo, may bring gold as presents? The Lannisters always pay their debts, bitches. Thought power taken to heart. It's all Game of Thrones all the time in my studio. Or taking its motives from love and from the desire and wishes of the heart may very often be more selfish than reasonable. But it is a reason pushing power, and therefore generally it is the most helpful element towards attaining the goal. This, of course, has been the reason ascribing riches, etc., to this card. All right. And with that, I toast to the Lannisters. The Six of Wands. Servant, inferior. This is the guy, he's got the stick with the wreath on it, and like all the kids are like, the 5 kids are now surrounding him, it looks like. Inferior, mercenary man, commissioner, interior of a house, the household. It is said to denote great news and expectations. Hope and trust, but sometimes not without some misgivings or a slight apprehension of treachery. It is air on the house of Virgo, the 6th house of the servant and work, of exact science and of the academy, of health and food, of art, of decoration, and the interior of the house, as well as the retail dealer. The element of thought, which is air, on the earthy house of Virgo must naturally bring forth knowledge of every detail and reveal mistakes of shortcomings. It promotes efficiency, and the latter is one of the principal meanings of the card. Here again is a double mercurial expression. So this card must denote special abilities, technical insight, moreover, food questions and medicine. This is funny. This is my card for the day. I went shopping. I've been doing good all week with my food. Basically, I've been eating vegetables and fish all fucking day long, or all week long, without fail. Like no bread, nothing, anything like that. And all I was doing is dying for enchiladas tonight. I went to 2 different grocery stores, bro. Went to the booze store. 2 different grocery stores. I got home just to realize that I forgot to buy fucking tortillas. I'm fucked. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyhow, I'm down here talking to you instead of going out to buy tortillas. Food question. So this must have fell reverse for me. Right and reverse. This must have been reverse. Medicine, nursing, practical arrangement of details, but as Virgo, kill the prophets. This card may contain some or other discrepancy in the philosophical or logical, theoretical, or strictly just side of things, like forgetting your fucking tortillas. 7 of Wands. This is the one that I was perplexed by because it looked like a giant, all these sticks fighting a giant with a stick. Discussion, negotiation, conference, conversion, deliberation, dissension, measure, correspondence. Words and language. This sounds like a curriculum, a high school curriculum. Generally success, but there are many, also some hesitation, necessity, irresolution, or lightheartedness, tomfoolery, jackassness. All this is very strikingly typific of the element of air in the 7th house, but of the airy Libra house of relationship, marriage, meeting of the self and the not self, which rules contracts, books, and manuscripts. Here only comes discussion into play. In the 5th house, the individual was alone, and for discussion, if you want 2 persons. That reminds me, the Jin Jihad. I think my contract with Postmortem is almost up. I should check into that. I want to reprint that book. I want to fucking do it myself. Where am I at? 7 of Wands. This is the one. Wait. I already did 7 of Wands. I almost fucked myself over. 8 of Wands. This is the one that I was tripping out over in the last episode, where it's just all the sticks flying in the air towards the ground. Well, we all know now that it's an airy sign, it's an airy suit. Examination, interior disputes, misunderstandings, regrets, interior agitation, scruples, doubt, repentance, etc. But on the other hand, it is brought into connection with everything that has to do with country life, fields, garden, woods, etc. Also pleasure, amusement, enjoyment, recreation. Hey, what are you doing today, Bobby? I don't know. What are you doing? Hey, you want to go down to the field? You want to go down to the swimming hole and throw these 8 sticks up in the air? Yeah, let's do that. Quite apart from all this is the express messenger, the arrows of love, the arrows of jealousy. Great haste, great hope, speed towards an end, which promises assured felicity. The card represents air in the 8th house, and the influence of Scorpio will make the mind acute and sharp, so as to investigate and to examine the most hidden riddles, while in this house the mind comes to the sensation or consciousness of pleasure and pain. I have such sights to show you. Thirst and drinking. The chalice will begin its suit later on in the 9th house. It is the house of hidden and forbidden knowledge, or rather experience. The arrows of love actually mean passion, and the arrows of jealousy, the common counterpart of the same. The sensation of sex is born in this. Some sticks flying through the air? Oh, sorry. Born in this house. I should have just finished. And indicated by this card. What? Some sticks flying through the air? As to swift, speedy messages, this may sometimes happen because the scorpion is sometimes very sudden in its movement. What the card should have to do with country life is less evident. We should say rather that it must stand in relation with the sea, fishermen, and sailors. The mind in this house is very critical and sharp-witted. Sometimes subject to doubt and misgiving, superstitions and jealousy. It is in search of truth and enjoyment. Artistic abilities will run along the line of poetry, music, and sculpture. It has always to do with the hidden side of things, the interior or the interlife. It's examination, interrogation, internal knowledge, disputes, misgivings, and doubts. The 9 of Wands. Oh, here we go. This is a combat engineer card. If I ever saw one. This is the one, remember I was talking about the dude that had the head bandage on? And he looks all pissed and all these sticks are behind him. Obstacle, delay, suspense, adversity, slowness, calamity, misfortune, re-envoy, and trouble. Like I said, the 9 of Wands, combat engineer card. If you just had alcohol and bad decisions in here somewhere, it would have been a 360 win. The card signifies strength in opposition. If attacked, he will meet the onslaught boldly. The element of air in the 9th house, which is opposite to that, which is particularly accent of the suit of wands, lies Gemini, the 3rd. This opposition evidently has been the chief motive for the qualifications given in respect to this card in the past. There is a good deal in it, but not everything, of course. If the 3rd house is the typical expression of the message, the Sagittarian is the type of man who is always in opposition, but he is also himself. This card seems to be queerly veiled. Hey man, this was written in 1930, okay? All you SJWs, get off my back. It is at least strange to find only a malefic expressions of the coordination of the element of air and the principle of mind with the house of Sagittarius, the thinker. It looks as if the patrons of the tarot system did not think it wise to tell much about the sign of the prophets of the fortune-telling gypsies. How this may be does not concern us any further. Evidently, the card must have to do with prophecy, fortune-telling, teaching, conducting, guiding, and the persons of guides, teachers, and masters. It must give the notion of traveling and far-reaching schemes, the faculty of speaking foreign languages and writing, but it is true that persons indicated by this card find their strength in opposition. Has it, and very often therefore are, in search of some convenient opponent or opposing force. It means intellectually chasing sport, hunting journalism, and the raising of spirits that are not easy to be got rid of afterwards. The latter fact accounts for all these have been said about obstacles, etc. Like I said, bros, that man, I'm gonna put a star next to this one too. I'm gonna do something with this. I don't know if I haven't talked about it. I posted some stuff on my Instagram about it. I'm going to do my first project that was based off of, the general idea of this show was that I had done so much research in other things to use my research to produce the show. However, as I've gone through the year or 2 years, whatever it is, 2 or 3 years, I think 2 years, 3 years in that area, I found some stuff that I'm actually building a comic book off of. And it's stuff like this, man, that does it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Go to my Instagram and see if you can figure it out. Okay, so here, I'm going to lube up one more time, and then we're going to get to this last card. The Ten of Wands. Remember I tripped out over this one too, because it was like the kid carrying all the sticks away. The Ten of Wands. Treachery. Remember I made a big deal that his back was to us as well. Treachery, duplicity, falsehood, disguise, imposture. I thought that this said constipation, but it doesn't. It says conspiration. It's like the making of conspiracies a bit. Obstacles, surprise, dissimulation, difficulties, false seeming oppression, and the question of a lawsuit. There will be certain loss. Air on the house of Capricorn, the 10th. It is well known by astrologers that the 10th house rules the actions, deeds, and attitudes. Also the name of the official position of the personality in the world. At the same time, the superiors or authorities met with on account of position and activities, actions and deeds under the influence of the double-natured mercurial element may easily degrade into the double deal. He's a double dealer. Double dealing. And eventually else of that nature. But once more, it appears to us that the gypsy tradition is rather too much exclusively on the low side of things. The qualities are mixed here and make very often an egotistic blend and a nature which reveals several weaknesses as soon as it comes under trial. So this card, on the one hand, means certainly the attitude of mind or action will be untrustworthy and must not be relied upon. There is fear and cowardice in it. But on the other hand, the combination is that of mental ability, quick perception, etc. It means also the load of the earthly responsibility laid upon the shoulders of an airy creature. Consequently, oppression. I'm being oppressed. It is word very much to the point here. It explains even why weaker natures are driven to undesirable, unreliable actions and reactions by it. They cannot stand pressure. Strong natures, however, accept the pressure as natural necessity, karma, and carry their burdens. It is symbolized by the man carrying the 10 wands. It is a symbol exclusive. It's a symbol of exclusive ability, production, and doing of necessary things. Obedience to an order, the rule, officials, red tape, and burdens that appear heavier than they actually are. The conclusion is karma, obedience, exclusive ability, the production and reproduction necessity, officials and official positions in weaker cases, duplicity, falsehood, unreliability, disguise, double dealing, false appearance, lies, and false diplomacy, oppression, and overestimating the importance of all things. And I'm out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I've been your King of Wands for the evening, John Towers. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. Hey, bros, don't forget the American Sermon is starting on March 3rd. It's the limited series that we're going to be looking at the occult foundation of the United States. There will be an early episode up before that, like an episode 0, at least one of them, just so I can get the RSS feed and stuff straightened out. So if you're hawk-eyed and you're looking for it, they give you something to look for. Let's not forget to go to abercast.com. The feature topic links, they're all broke down nice and easy there, searchable, so you can find the shit that you like. Also, social media links are down at the bottom. Let me know what you think about tonight's show. There's also a mailing list for bonus content this month. The download is a fun Lesser Key of Solomon worksheet. It is pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So 5-star reviews, guys. 5-star reviews. Don't leave me some bullshit review telling me to edit my show. Just find something else to listen to.